Hi, my name's Kaylee and I teach kindergarten. And the purpose for this inquiry, I use the iPads to allow my kindergarten students to explore the world around them and broaden their perspective so that they could just make discoveries with objects and things in their surroundings that are much bigger than what they could normally bring to the carpet or do in a classroom setting. So while my students were using the iPads to take pictures, one of the setbacks was that I found they hadn't had very much experience with taking a picture and knowing how to center a picture and have the main idea visible. So it took a little bit of trial and error. I did use the projector to model that for them, but it took a little bit of trial and error. A couple of the successes was that it was extremely motivating for them. They were very eager to explore their surroundings, and they started to realize that there were a lot more big things around them than just the regular manipulatives that they use in their classroom, which was neat. And it also opened up a huge oral language experience for them. They were able to then plug their pictures into the projector and go to town explaining their discoveries to their classmates, and I found the language that was coming out of them because of their excitement was totally impressive. And it was also a great experience for them to learn from their peers. So they were looking at their peers' pictures, and I could see some light bulbs going off of aha moments where they wanted to go and then take more pictures and expand on their learning. This inquiry has really taught me as a teacher that using technology and iPads and the projector and things in my classroom is a great tool for the kindergarten age group. Some people may say that that's a little bit beyond them, but I've learned that there's nothing they can't do with those iPads as long as you give them the correct tools and motivation to do it. So the next step with this project, the students have done their oral language piece with presenting their pictures, and now for an assessment piece they're going to import their pictures into the Explain Everything app and use the features on the Explain Everything app to explain their learning and use the vocabulary they've been taught.
Well, hey there. How's it going? I'm just plugging away here on some tech stuff and trying to improve my understanding of how to effectively use technology in the classroom. I took Padlet, which is one of the things that we covered at that first seminar, and I was thinking about how to use that effectively with my class in terms of getting them to motivate them to want to produce a higher level of work by expanding the size of their audience. Also how to give descriptive feedback, constructive criticism while evaluating one another's work and while I'm giving descriptive feedback on their work as well. So we use Padlet as kind of a format of being able to post something, look at each other's work, and comment on each other's work. And my overall purpose was to get my comfort level with using different technological ideas to go up while having the kids buy into to producing higher level work. That's the purpose. So in our class we've done 3 Padlet walls so far as a group, and the first one I just wanted to get a baseline idea of where they were. So I threw out some basic instructions, and I threw out an idea, and they were supposed to go home, consider the idea, go online, comment on the idea, and comment on each other's work using some basic knowledge of descriptive feedback. Most of the students did not do the activity, and the ones that did, well, their descriptive feedback was extremely limited, and even some of their basic ideas about the discussion question, their responses were very limited. We looked at them in class and talked about them, and then I did some specific lessons on descriptive feedback. And the next time that we did the wall, the results were incredibly different. There were far more thoughtful answers, and the descriptive feedback, it's progression, but it was definitely, for the most part, they put a lot more thought into the type of feedback that they were giving one another. There were still a handful of people that gave very limited descriptive feedback that didn't really tell any information, but the vast majority of the kids were a lot more willing to comment with greater depth on the idea and on commenting on each other's ideas. So I would say a large jump so far. Okay, so in terms of some successes, I think I mentioned in the other segment that just the quality of the responses has gone up considerably. Challenges that I've encountered so far, there are always technological challenges, and I do have a handful of students in the class that don't seem to have access to the internet outside of school time, or it's unreliable, or it's being used as an excuse to not go online and do it. So that's a challenge so far. It's in a lot of ways it becomes an all or nothing thing. So the students that go online and are willing to look at our blog page and do the follow-up questions, they're full on. And then there are always 5 or 6 people that then come in and have not even looked at the page, so they're not bringing anything to the table at all. So that's been a setback so far. Technology for me is always, there's always a learning curve, and my learning curve isn't that steep, so I've managed to find my way around Padlet reasonably well, but I have encountered a couple of glitches as well in terms of overlapping. When the students contribute work, it all goes on top of one another, all their work, and I don't know how to change that without just going in and manipulating it manually, so I'm trying to learn the program as well, and that's been a challenge. So where we are headed with all this ties into a poetry unit, and we're going to do some more activities on descriptive feedback, both for myself in developing my ability to give more meaningful feedback to the students and commenting on each other's work. So in terms of our free verse poetry section, one of the requirements is going to be to post an original poem starting off with Padlet.com and commenting on 2 other people's poems and giving descriptive feedback on 2 other original poems. And the culminating activity is going to involve increasing their audience to the greater world and posting an original piece on the website teeninc.com, where they will be open to getting constructive feedback and descriptive feedback from anybody that happens to be on the site in the greater world. I'm really hoping that that audience, that increase in the size of the audience, is the motivating tool to get them to produce what would be their best work. And ultimately, that is my goal.
I have been trying to incorporate technology in a more cross-curricular way so that I can tie it into science and social studies and math and language and really link it together. So I've been using my blog and incorporating YouTube videos where the kids go on with a partner and they watch a YouTube video to gain information. So this example is of rocks and minerals, and igneous rocks and volcanoes in particular. And I've been tying it to persuasive writing in the sense that kids need to learn the positive and the negative components of living near a volcano and which ones are more powerful. So I had the kids watch a YouTube video, and then I created a Google document where they had to go and respond. So the first question says, after watching the video, what is one benefit of living near a volcano? And then the second question is, what is one drawback of living near a volcano? The power of using a Google Doc is that it will create a spreadsheet for you where the kids' responses are all collated into a spreadsheet, and then we could then take that information and come up with all of the arguments for and against living near a volcano to help us prepare to write a persuasive paragraph about pros and cons of living near a volcano. I've also used it for art. And if you look down a little bit further, you can see that there's a post on the Northern Lights. So my kids learned about the Northern Lights because they were working towards doing the Northern Lights around in Inukshuk. And I had them do a Padlet afterwards where they were able to talk about questions that they still had about the Northern Lights at the completion of the lesson. And prior to that, again, to build background knowledge about the Inukshuk, same idea. We watched the YouTube video where we found that there are actually 3 types of Inukshuk rather than just one. And again, on a Padlet, they posted their questions and wonderings so that we could continue to do inquiries around the Inukshuk and learn more information.